You cannot eat when you're asleep, but that's not enough. Lack of sleep is what could be causing you to gain weight. And in this video, you will learn exactly why this is so, what exactly causes the weight gain, the mistakes we do, and how we can fix it. And make sure to stay to the end, because I will share with you 3 tips on how to help you get good quality sleep and prevent you from gaining weight. So let's jump into it. We'll be looking at hormones, food types and eating times, sleep quantity versus sleep quality, exercise and sleep, entertainment, medical conditions, and then stay to the end of the video as I will give you an in-depth on things that you need to do to avoid gaining weight and probably get better sleep if that's something you've been struggling with. Let's look at hormones. Lack of sleep causes multiple changes to your body, which does not allow the recovery of the hormonal profile system and can also lead to gain weight. There are 2 types of hormones that are key in this process, and that is ghrelin and leptin. So ghrelin actually triggers the feeling of hunger, and it goes up when you don't get enough sleep. And ghrelin is the hormone that makes you to feel hungry and want to eat. So if your ghrelin levels go up, you are most likely to want to eat. It's a hormone that's known for stimulating appetite, and clearly we all know that when we are hungry, we tend to eat more food. On the other hand, leptin is the hormone that signals us that we are full and that we should stop eating. And when we don't get enough sleep, we get less leptin. So when we have less leptin, we tend to eat more food. So the hormone leptin suppresses appetite and encourages the body to expend even more energy. So the combination of these 2 hormones, ghrelin and leptin, following less sleep, means that we have more fat storage, and so we gain weight. So now let's look at food types and eating times. Sleep deprivation affects what kind of foods you are most likely to eat, and it creates an intense craving for fat and sugar-laden foods. Now, with less sleep, your brain can't make reasonable decisions and good judgment about food, and you are more likely to be impulsive and give in to junk food. We all know that lack of sleep makes you more likely to eat more of your overall calories at night, which can lead to weight gain. And try to avoid things like coffee in the afternoon, because it will keep you in the lighter stages of your sleep, which means you don't actually go into your deep sleep. So if you must drink coffee, make sure that you don't drink it after 2 p.m. So in the afternoon hours, you want to avoid things like stimulants so that it does not affect your sleep when you go to bed. So what you might need to do is to watch what you eat before bedtime. Things like pizza and beer before bedtime is not actually a good idea. Neither is eating a big meal just before you go to bed. If you are running close to bedtime, you might want to avoid heavy rich meals before bed, because this can increase the risk of things like heartburn, which can certainly keep you awake all night. Now let's look at sleep quantity versus sleep quality. First, look at how much you sleep versus how well you sleep. There are some people who get about 7.5 hours of sleep, but it is poor quality of sleep because of things like pain, or maybe they have underlying sleep disorders, and this has the same effect as if they got less sleep. On average, we need about 7.5 hours of quality sleep per night, but this does not mean that you need to sleep 12 hours for you to not gain weight. But if you get about 5 hours of sleep, then you need to start to sleep more, up to 7 hours or even 8 hours, so that you can start to drop your weight. Now, something that I want us to get very clearly here is that it's not so much that if you sleep that you lose weight, but if you are sleep deprived, meaning that you are not getting enough minutes of sleep or good quality sleep, your body will not function properly. So things like sunset can send a signal on when we need to sleep or not to sleep. Your brain keeps track of external cues such as light and darkness, and when the sun sets, your body is ready for sleep, and when the sun is out in the morning, your body is aware that there is light and that you need to be awake. So when you ignore this kind of cues, you actually cause havoc to your body, both mentally and physically, and this in turn can affect the homeostasis of the body and can lead to poor health. So when we are exposed to light during the day, our body has the signal to stay awake, and when the sun sets, the body is ready to go to sleep. So now let's look at exercise and sleep. So exercise has got a huge impact on the quality of your sleep. There are some people after exercise, they are able to sleep well without any problem, but some people after exercise, they find it quite difficult to fall asleep. So you need to identify what works for you, what makes you, or what times that you exercise makes you to sleep well, and what times prevent you from getting good sleep. When you don't get enough sleep, what happens is that you have low energy levels, and because of this, you might go to the gym and find that you cannot exercise properly because your energy levels are low. And then there are some people who end up even skipping their gym sessions because when they don't sleep well, they don't eat properly, and then they don't have the energy to go to the gym. Just make sure that you don't work out too close to your bedtime so that when you go to bed, you are able to sleep and get into your deep sleep. Something else that can be of negative impact to you if you don't get enough sleep is that even after your gym time, you don't have the energy to go home and start cooking. So you might find when you go home, either you order food, maybe it's food that is not very healthy, or you might eat on your way home. And in most cases, when people don't eat at home, they don't eat the most nutritious foods. So you need to either prepare your meals a week earlier so that when you finish your gym, you just go home and you find that you have something to eat that you already have planned according to your goals, and not binge eating and getting off track with your training and nutrition plan. So this can actually become a vicious cycle where you don't sleep enough, you don't go to the gym, or if you go to the gym, you don't train properly, and then you don't eat the correct meals, and this becomes something you go through day by day, week by week, month by month, and eventually you hit the wall and you might even give up with training altogether. Now let's look at entertainment, stress, and other factors. See, you cannot eat when you're asleep. By staying awake, you increase the time availability for eating, and that makes maintenance of a healthy lifestyle even more difficult. So if you try to stay awake most of the night, you'll actually eat more. There's no question about it. You'll put on weight because when you're awake, what happens is that you eat a lot of food, you binge on food that is not healthy, and that will make you to gain weight. We stay awake watching TV, playing games on media networks, going out and staying late on a regular basis. Most people, whether they go out or they stay at home, they might order, and most likely they will eat things like pizza and drink beer, eat highly processed foods with high sugar and high fat. Most of these foods will have a lot of calories, but they're not nutritious. Not getting enough sleep affects everything from thinking skills to appetite to mood and even your outlook. Not getting enough sleep is very common, especially over the weekends, and people kind of brag about them not having enough sleep and having gone out all night and drinking and eating unhealthy food, but this is a price that eventually you're going to pay for. So it's okay to enjoy and have fun and meet friends and socialize, but always don't go overboard, and always make sure that you remember not sleeping enough may be a reason as to why you are putting on weight. Now we have some medical conditions that can prevent some people from getting enough sleep. And if you are getting enough hours of sleep, like you sleep 8 hours or even 7 hours, but you wake up feeling sleepy the next day, then you might need to talk to your doctor or a sleep specialist, and the sleep specialist can help you to identify any underlying problems. First, you have to understand that you need to get the enough quantity of sleep, that is whether it is 8 hours or 7, but when it comes to quality, then you need to do a few things. Some of them is like managing light exposure. Ensure that you sleep when the body has the cue to sleep. That's a few hours after sunset. So if you stay late in the night under a lot of light, this means that you are telling or giving your body the cues that it's still daytime. So you want to limit that and make sure that you try to use lights that are not so bright, and you might even want to get off your gadgets some hours before you go to sleep. So another thing you might want to do is to try to sleep and wake up roughly at the same time, and try to eat at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed so that you can give your body enough time to digest the food that you eat. And then avoid things like stimulant beverages, especially afternoons and onwards, so that you can sleep well and tap into your deep sleep. And then avoid to do exercise 4 to 5 hours before bedtime. Some people don't have a problem with this, but you need to identify and know whether you need to work out in the morning or in the afternoon. But if in the evening has no issues about you sleeping and getting quality sleep, then that is fine. And also try to sleep in a quiet room and make sure the temperature of the room is controlled. So guys, I will end up here, but remember, once we understand the connection between sleep and weight gain, then we are in a better position to make changes.